Ireland isn't just about green fields and fairy tales. It's a country stitched with shadows, ancient spirits, locked doors, and voices that never stop whispering. Tonight we travel across that haunted land with true Irish ghost stories drawn from history and told by those who wish they haven't lived through them. The Devil at Loftus Hall. I never believed in Irish ghost stories. I grew up near Dublin, pretty grounded. But when my cousin Aoife invited me to spend the weekend at Loftus Hall, I thought it'd be good crack. One of those haunted tours that turns out to be overpriced tea and dust. The first night we stayed in the upper guest wing, one that kept rattling the old glass, and the hall creaked like something breathing beneath us. At 2:30 a.m, I woke up to footsteps outside the door. Not slow ones, but heavy and deliberate, like someone was wearing old boots. I figured it was just a guide, but when I looked for the people, there was no one. Just a dark hallway and this strange, burning smell. The next night, Aoife pulled out a deck of cards. She thought it'd be funny to recreate the old story. You know, the one where a stranger with cloven hooves joined the card game and vanished in flames. So we sat around the table in the old drawing room, fireplace cold, shadows everywhere. We dealt one hand, then another. That's when someone knocked. 3 slow knocks. We froze. No one was scheduled to be on that floor. The staff were downstairs. I opened the door, but there was nothing there. The hallway was hot, like stepping inside of a baking oven. And something was moving in the mirror by the stairs. Not a reflection, but rather a shape. We didn't sleep that night. And in the morning, we found hoof prints burned into the dust by the door. The Elemental of Leap Castle. My girlfriend Sinead is obsessed with abandoned places, so of course Leap Castle was on her list. We got access during off hours, thanks to a cousin of hers. It was meant to be a quick daytime visit, poke around the chapel, take a few photos and leave. But we lingered way too long. By dusk we were still inside. The castle was quiet. Too quiet. Inside the bloody chapel, I swear they all felt wrong, like standing inside a lung. There was a draft, but it didn't come from anywhere. It came through us. Sinead was snapping photos near the altar. I turned away for a second, and when I looked back she was gone. No footsteps, no noise. I called her name over and over. Nothing. Then I smelt it. Rot. Sulphur. Like a grave cracked open under the summer heat. And then I saw it. In the far corner, hunched and watching. A shape. Humanish. Shorter than a man, but broader. All hunched. Skin like grey parchment. Eyes not glowing. Just deep holes. Like the colour of infection. It didn't move. I backed up, heart pounding, and bumped into Sinead. She looked pale. I saw it too, she whispered. We need to leave, now. We didn't speak on the drive home. Later that night she showed me the photo she took. There was a face behind her, grinning. Something that shouldn't have been there. The White Lady of Charles Fort. My partner and I stayed in Kinsale last summer. It's a quaint place with a gorgeous harbour. But I made a mistake of booking the guest house, just a few minutes from Charles Fort. Our host mentioned the White Lady, almost as a joke. Said her spirit walks the grounds mourning her lost husband. We laughed it off, but by the second night, I wasn't laughing anymore. We were laying in bed around 3 a.m. when I heard a soft crying. Not outside, inside. It sounded like it came from the corner of the room. A woman, sobbing gently. I sat up, and there indeed was in fact someone standing by the window. She was pale, her dress almost gold, long sleeved, torn lace, hair dark and dripping wet, like she just crawled out of the sea. And then I realised she wasn't facing us, but rather she was facing the wall. When she turned, her face, it wasn't angry, it was empty, like grief had hollowed her out completely. She lifted a hand, but it wasn't a wave, merely a warning. I blinked and she was gone. The next morning, the guest house manager casually asked if we've left our window open. I said no. She just nodded and said, "It happens. She visits couples, especially the happy ones." The Banshees cry. My grandmother told me stories about the Banshee, but I always thought they were just that, stories, until the night my uncle died. It was last winter, snow falling hard outside. I was staring at my parents' place in Galway. At around 1:15 a.m, the dog started whining, scratching at the back door, but not to go out. He was backing away from it, tail between his legs. Then we all heard it. A wail, long and high, piercing. Not human, not animal, but something in between. It didn't move. It hovered in the air like a blade hanging over us. We rushed outside with torches, thinking someone was hurt. But there was nothing. No prints in the snow, no birds, not even wind. At 7:03 that morning, the hospital rang. Uncle Owen had passed. Massive heart attack out of nowhere. My mother went pale when she heard the time. She said she'd seen the Banshee once before, when her own father died. And she said the sound wasn't just a mourning. It was claiming. The Hellfire Club on Montpelier Hill. A few years back, I went urban exploring with a group of friends. One of them, Kieran, insisted we check out the Hellfire Club ruins at night. Bad idea. We hiked up Montpelier Hill just after midnight. The view of Dublin was surreal, like the city was too far away to help if something went wrong. The old lodge is just stone and shadow now, but when we stepped inside, it was like walking into another time. There were scorch marks on the walls, old carvings, candles, looked like some of them had been burned recently. Then the air dropped. Not wind, it was this internal cold, like something sucked the warmth out of our lungs. Kieran started acting strange, talking low, muttering Latin. He swore he didn't know. Then he laughed, but it didn't sound like him. I grabbed his arm and tried to pull him towards the exit. That's when we heard them, the footsteps on the stairs. But there are no stairs, not anymore. The footsteps kept climbing, step by step, just above us, like something unseen was circling down. We ran. Kieran didn't speak the entire way back. Later he showed me the photo he'd taken inside. Just blackness, except for one tiny glowing thing in the corner. A goat's eye, open, watching. These aren't just ghost stories. They're warnings etched into stone and passed through families. So the next time you're standing near the ruins of a castle, or you hear a wail in the dark, remember, the dead don't stay silent. They watch, and sometimes they knock. If you enjoyed episodes like these, consider subscribing. Thanks.